Super God Gene. Chapter 26. Ghost Hound should really be called skin to skin, as all movements were aimed at one thing, which was to stick on the opponent. Wrapping, blocking and winding, all sorts of movements allowed the body to act like a snake to tightly trap the limbs of the opponent, so that there was no way for the opponent to attack. If the opponent was a woman, with the practice of Ghost Hound, one would be able to feel her up. If it was a normal woman, she would feel overwhelmed in just a few movements. If I were to use Ghost Hound to fight Shinzan, she would consider me even more of a pervert. Han Sen suddenly regretted picking this martial art to learn. However, the tuition was non-refundable. Well, I'll just learn it first and see. Han Sen calmed down and started to carefully watch and memorize Ghost Hound. With a closer look, Han Sen found that the martial art was not so nasty as it had seemed at first. There were indeed a lot of advanced skills, especially in wrestling and close combat. Many were very practical and could save a life at critical moments. It did indeed have high requirements for fitness, especially for flexibility. Even for those who had maxed out on mutant geno points, it would be somewhat difficult to meet the requirements. The reason Han Sen was able to pass, in addition to his sacred geno points, was Jadeskin training, which had greatly enhanced his flexibility. The teaching method of Old Devil was straightforward. You could learn the movements from his pre-recorded hologram, and then he would correct you where you made mistakes and remind you where you should be more careful. He could be reached via comlink, and his replies were detailed. Although he charged a lot, he was very engaged in teaching. With a strong body, Han Sen was able to start practicing Ghost Hound in half a month. But only to get started was not enough. Martial arts that required close combat like this were the most dangerous. If not a master, one could be easily killed in the actual battle. Han Sen would never hunt creatures or fight with others in God's sanctuary using Ghost Hound before he mastered it. Shinzan, if you leave me alone, I'll let it go. If you insist on giving me a hard time, I will have to use you to practice Ghost Hound, thought Han Sen. When he came to the teleport station, Han Sen still did not want to see Shinzan. Looking around from time to time, he didn't see her until he entered God's sanctuary. In his room at Steel Armor Shelter, the primitive copper-toothed beast had become a mutant creature. Han Sen decided to let it keep evolving into a sacred blood creature. At the gate of the shelter, the gang of Son of Heaven was gone. It had been half a month since Han Sen left God's sanctuary, so Dollar was never spotted. They weren't very patient, so they just left. In fact, Son of Heaven had been aware that it was useless to guard the gate, as they didn't know what Dollar really looked like. So even if he did walk in front of them, they wouldn't be able to recognize him. Han Sen left the shelter and went into the mountains, ready to find a remote place to hunt. After entering the deep forests, human footprints became scarce. Han Sen summoned his armor when he was alone and went further into the mountain. Han Sen no longer bothered to hunt ordinary creatures. He would just chase them away or ignore them, and was only interested in hunting rare primitive creatures for food. Now Han Sen had maxed out on ordinary geno points and had over 80 primitive geno points, so he didn't really need commonly seen primitive creatures. Now what he really needed was mutant and sacred blood geno points. Han Sen wanted to complete his evolution with all 4 types of geno points maxed out. It would be really slow if he used only the black crystal to do this. For primitive creatures, I don't even need to do the hunting. The mutant beast soul I got from Shinzan was a pet. It should be able to kill some primitive creatures if summoned. Han Sen looked at the beast soul in the shape of a black cat that he got from blackmail. Type of beast soul of mutant three-eyed cat, pet. Han Sen summoned the mutant three-eyed cat, and a little black kitty the size of his palm appeared. It was rubbing at the foot of Han Sen, looking just like a normal pet cat with its tiny body and wide eyes. Could such a little thing kill those creatures? Han Sen picked it up to take a look, not convinced that a cute thing like this possessed great strength. But then he thought, size didn't necessarily matter. Since it was a mutant beast soul, it must be able to hunt primitive creatures. Seeing some primitive triangular scaled beast wandering nearby, he ordered the cat, go kill the triangular scaled beast. The little guy meowed and got up its nerve to streak toward the triangular scaled beast, biting it on the tail. The triangular scaled beast hesitated and looked back at the cat. Throwing up its tail, the triangular scaled beast then whipped the cat away like a basketball. The mutant three-eyed cat screamed and ran behind Han Sen's feet, shivering. She tricked me. No wonder she didn't even blink when she gave me this. It's a useless beast soul. Han Sen stared at the cat hidden behind him with widened eyes. Han Sen tried a few times more, and the cat was indeed of no use, not even able to beat the weakest primitive creature, a copper-toothed beast. Chased around and running, it was not like a mutant beast soul at all. Suddenly, Han Sen thought of the type of beast soul. According to his knowledge, the beast souls that can be summoned to fight on their own were normally either fighters or mounts, while he knew nothing about pet beast souls. Super God Gene. Chapter 27. What the heck is a pet beast soul? It's not just for fun, right? I was really tricked by Chinzan. What am I going to do with it? Han Sen's heart sank, and he killed the copper-toothed beast that was chasing the cat. When he was about to take the cat back, it started to meow around the body of the copper-toothed beast with its mouth watering. Go ahead. Han Sen looked at the mutant three-eyed cat curiously. Normal fighter beast souls and mount beast souls didn't have to eat, and they could just recover in a vacuum once injured. Receiving the approval from Han Sen, the cat rushed to the corpse and started gnawing, but it was clear that its teeth and claws were not sharp enough to break down the skin. Depressed, Han Sen peeled the skin off, sliced the meat with a dagger and fed it to the cat. And this little thing sure could eat. The copper-toothed beast was at least twice its size and it managed to eat all the flesh. Lying on the ground with a full belly, the cat could barely move and Han Sen was almost worried about it. Helplessly shaking his head, Han Sen took the cat back and decided to research the use of a pet beast soul on Skynet when he got back home. Mutant creatures were not so easy to find. Han Sen had been in the mountains for more than half a month, and did not encounter any mutant creatures. He did find quite a few primitive creatures new to him and now had more than 90 primitive geno points. Hunting alone in the mountains was quite boring, so Han Sen would summon the cat to play with and feed for fun when he was resting. The protection from the black beetle armor allowed him to practice ghost hunt even when hunting primitive creatures. Although he was still not skilled at it, he noticed the strengths of this martial art, especially in wrestling. It was very easy to use, and would incapacitate the creatures in a short time. However, close combat can be dangerous, and there were a few times when he used the wrong movement and could have been killed by the creatures. For over a month in the mountains, he had not found a single mutant creature, while he made a lot of progress in using Ghost Hound. Later, Han Sen no longer needed to rely on his armor when hunting primitive creatures. One of his biggest gains was that he finally maxed out on primitive geno points. Thinking of the fact that he was struggling for ordinary geno points just a few months ago, he was suddenly in a great mood and started to make a fire and barbecue some meat. Help, help. Han Sen was sharing the barbecue with the mutant three-eyed cat he named Meowth, when he saw a guy in ragged clothes running toward him, crying for help. He quickly got up and looked over there. With just one look, Han Sen abandoned the meat on the ground, took back Meowth and started to run. Buddy, please help me. I'll give you money, however much you want, cried the man while running. You can keep your money. Han Sen did not turn his head and ran desperately. You first needed to be alive to spend money, and there were at least 100 Mamo beasts chasing him. Although Mamo beasts were only primitive creatures, they each weighed more than a dozen tons and had the toughest skin. If hit or trampled by one, his internal organs would probably be shattered even with his armor on, not to mention there were so many of them. Even if Chinzan, Son of Heaven and Fist Guy were all here, they'd have run under such circumstances. Buddy, not so fast. Give me a hand and I will thank you. Behind Han Sen, the man was out of breath. I'm in danger as well. Just pray. After running for a while, Han Sen saw a cliff ahead of him with green vines hanging, grabbed a vine and started climbing up. The benefits of the gained geno points and practice of Ghost Hound were showing. Han Sen was in the air with just a bit of climbing and jumped on a large stone platform extending from the cliff. Seeing Han Sen climbing up, the man also ran over and wanted to follow him. The man was either too weak or too tired, so he slipped down after a few tries. Buddy, help. With the Mamo beast less than 30 feet from him, the man was about to cry out. Hang on. Han Sen grabbed the vine the man was holding on to and started pulling hard. Overjoyed, the man climbed with all fours, leveraging Han Sen's strength. When he was 30 feet from the ground, he heard Mamo beasts running into the cliff. Han Sen and the man felt as if even the mountains were trembling. With pulling and climbing, the man was finally on the platform. Once on the platform, the man lied down as if he were paralyzed, while breathing heavily, unable to speak. Friend, what on earth did you do to them? Han Sen looked down at the Mamo beasts running into one another. They wouldn't even leave after they got up, roaring at the platform. But they couldn't climb up as they were even bulkier than elephants. Do not mention it. Worst luck ever. The man calmed down, fished out a packet of cigarettes from his pocket, lit one and offered one to Han Sen. You saved my life and I, Lin Baifeng, will always remember. I will show my gratitude after returning to the shelter. Best with cash. Han Sen looked at the cigarette and knew the man must be rich. A packet of Schwarzwald cigarettes cost more than 10,000, and there was no need to be modest with such a wealthy guy. Super God Gene. Chapter 28. Buddy, what's your name? Lin Baifeng threw a lighter at Han Sen. Han Senator. Han Sen caught the lighter and lit the cigarette. Made from the tobacco produced from Schwarzwald, the cigarettes were harmless to the body and especially refreshing. For those who were risking their lives in God's sanctuary, the Schwarzwald cigarettes were definitely heaven sent. Sen, trust me, when we are back at the shelter, you can have as much money as you want. Problems that can be solved by money are no problems for me. They chatted for a while, and Han Sen understood what had happened. Lin Baifeng was not only rich, but super rich. He was also lucky to be assigned to a shelter where he had very close acquaintances. So he bought a whole lot of mutant beast souls, armor, weapons, mounts, fighters, etc. He also hired a group of people to hunt with him, wanting to hunt a sacred blood creature. With his great luck, they indeed caught a sacred blood creature, but what happened after was not so lucky. The people he hired either died or escaped, and he just went running into the mountains. After all sorts of danger, he had managed to survive, but lost almost all the beast souls he bought. If it was not for Han Sen, he would have been killed by the Mamo beasts. Sen, how far is our glory shelter from here? Asked Lin Baifeng. It's your glory shelter. Han Sen laughed. Lin Baifeng was shocked. Sen, are you joking? I came from Steel Armor Shelter, and it takes 2 weeks to return there. **T. I'm really in the range of another shelter. Lin Baifeng was very depressed. He had friends in Glory Shelter, and it was easy for him to buy flesh and beast souls. But it was likely that no one knew him at a different shelter, so even with money it would be hard to buy advanced flesh and beast souls. Hey, what did you do to the Mamo beasts? They are being so persistent. Han Sen looked down again and the Mamo beasts were still there, roaring and standing on their hind legs, trying to climb onto the stone platform. I was walking and got hungry. So I saw a young Mamo beast grazing, and, said Lin Baifeng bitterly. It was unfortunate. It seems that we are trapped here for some time, so before they leave, let's be nice to each other. Han Sen laughed. Right, let's do that. Lin Baifeng smiled agreeably and approached Han Sen. Sen, I'm so thirsty. Can I drink from your water bag? 10,000 per cup, Han Sen said, narrowing his eyes. **T. What happened to being nice? Cried Lin Baifeng. You are paying, I'm selling. Isn't that nice? But your water is too expensive. It is even more expensive than water from planet Snowspring. And 10,000 can buy a few bottles of that. It can't be water from planet Snowspring that you have. Lin Baifeng glanced at Han Sen's water bag and said. Although this is only water from a pool, we do not know how long we'll be trapped here. Water is life at this point, and we'll die within a week without water. And you think it's not worth it? Han Sen smiled. It's worth it, but my wallet was lost on the way. Could you give it to me on credit and I'll pay you double when we arrive at the shelter, Lin Baifeng said. We don't know each other, and you still owe me the life-saving fee. And now you want to get water on credit. You are making this so hard for me. Han Sen looked indecisive. Triple, no, quadruple. Deal. Han Sen took out his own cup and poured Lin Baifeng a cup of water. Lin Baifeng drank the water in a gulp and gave the empty cup back 3 times for more water. That's it for today. I don't have much water and need to save. We still don't know when the Mamo beasts will leave. Hansen put the water bag away when Lin Baifeng asked the 4th time. Sen, you are so strong, so brave and so impressive that you are able to hunt alone deep in the mountains. What do you want? Han Sen rolled his eyes. Lin Baifeng approached Han Sen and said, Sen, my beast soul was completely destroyed on the way here. Now I feel so insecure with no beast soul on me. Do you have extra beast souls to sell? Speaking of beast souls, Han Sen had killed quite a few primitive beasts in recent days and had gained no beast soul. He might have used up his luck on the 2 sacred blood beast souls he got. No beast soul. Would you like some primitive meat jerky? Yes, of course. 10,000 per piece. Sen, this is such a small piece. Trapped on the stone platform for 8 days, they still didn't feel like the Mamo beasts would ever leave. We cannot wait any longer. We must find a way out, Han Sen told Lin Baifeng solemnly. We still have some food and water. Let's wait, and maybe the herd is about to retreat. Lin Baifeng had a lingering fear about the mammo beasts. We still have water and food, as well as physical strength. When we have used up everything, we would stand no chance, Han Sen said. But how is it even possible with such a herd? Lin Baifeng said bitterly. So we will have to climb up. Han Sen pointed to the cliff above. Lin Baifeng looked at the cliff standing straight into the clouds and suddenly shuddered. Are we capable of doing this? We have to. It beats waiting to die, and we don't have to climb over. If we could climb up a bit and find somewhere to stand, we could just walk around and go down on the other side of the cliff, Han Sen said. Sen, I agree, Lin Baifeng quickly said. Great, we will start to climb now using the vines. Han Sen grabbed a vine, made sure it was tough enough and began climbing. Super God Gene, Chapter 29, Sen, you are so fit. You must have maxed out on mutant geno points. Lin Baifeng stopped climbing as he felt his arms hurting too much, while Han Sen was still climbing briskly. Hang in there, there is a rock sticking out up there, and we can go there and rest. Han Sen looked down at Lin Baifeng. Sen, I can't, shall we just go back down? You stay here, I will go up first and then pull you up with the vine. Han Sen started to climb with all fours, and he was so fast it looked like he was walking on the ground, which stunned Lin Baifeng. It took a little while for Han Sen to reach the rock and use the vine to pull Lin Baifeng up. The rock was the size of a table. The two huddled on the rock and looked around. The cliff was so steep and there was no way to climb if it wasn't for the vines, which only covered a part of the cliff. Sen, let's stay here for 2 days and maybe the mammo beasts will leave if they don't see us. The cliff is so steep and I'm not as fit as you. I really can't go up, Lin Baifeng said anxiously. Well, you just rest here, and I'll go see if there is a way out. If there is, I'll come back for you. If not then we could just wait for the mammo beasts to leave, Han Sen said and got up to climb. Sen, you will not abandon me. Lin Baifeng grabbed Han Sen's clothes like a little girl. Don't worry, how can I abandon you when you owe me so much money? Han Sen patted Lin Baifeng on the shoulder and climbed away. Because he had practiced Ghost Hound, Han Sen was particularly good at climbing. As he was much stronger now, it wasn't too hard for him either. Han Sen climbed for a few hundred feet and still saw nothing but the cliff. The vines continued to go up, and he was wondering where their roots were. Han Sen felt a little tired and was thinking about going down. But with another look, he felt like there was a rock sticking out above him. I'll climb up to the rock above and have a look. If there is no way out, I'll just go down to eat and drink. Maybe we could outrun the mammo beasts, Han Sen decided, and kept climbing. The stone was farther and larger than Han Sen had imagined. It was half the size of a basketball court. When he got on the stone, Han Sen's eyes suddenly widened. On the stone was a nest made with tree limbs and vines. It looked like a huge swallow's nest, almost taking up a better half of the stone. An egg at least 3 feet tall lay in the nest. Wow, such a big egg. How big would the creature that laid it be? Han Sen shuddered. The creature was not here now, but he dared not think what would happen if it came back. Being big did not necessarily means it was advanced. Mammo beasts were huge but merely primitive creatures. However, the ability to make a nest and lay an egg on the cliff proved the creature was no average creature. It could very likely be a sacred blood creature. If the egg belonged to a sacred blood creature, Han Sen would not want to miss it. After some hesitation, Han Sen approached the egg and cut a hole in the egg shell with the tip of his dagger. Fishing out a straw from his pocket, he stuck it in the hole and started sucking. Suddenly the sweet juice filled Han Sen's mouth. Sacred blood creature Stormbird's egg eaten. No sacred geno point gained. Although no sacred blood geno point was gained, the fact that the egg was indeed a sacred blood creature left Han Sen in joy. It was such a huge egg, with at most only 10 sacred geno points, that he was not surprised that he hadn't gained a point with just a mouthful. And he already had some sacred geno points and couldn't have all 10 points, so he could only get 6 or 7 if he was lucky. But sacred geno points were so hard to get that even just a few more would help. Han Sen was desperately sucking the liquid with the straw that he used to drink from his water bag when he was hiding from the creatures that he didn't have to move. It was unexpectedly handy as well for sucking the egg juice. The egg was so big that when Han Sen finally heard the cue that he was gaining 1 sacred geno point, he was so full that he could drink no more. Han Sen pulled out the straw, and then sealed the hole with mud. Putting the straw back, he descended using the vine. Sen, what took you so long? Is there a way out? Seeing Han Sen coming from above, Lin Baifeng, who had been worried sick, asked immediately in a low voice so as not to alert the mammo beasts below. No, It is as steep as a mirror, and we have nowhere to go. Han Sen shook his head. Then we have no option but to wait for the herd to leave, Lin Baifeng said disappointedly. It's all right, we still have some food and water left. Han Sen was really taking his time now as he couldn't finish drinking the raw egg anytime soon, and he wouldn't leave before that. They huddled on the stone to spend the night, and the next morning Han Sen climbed up to eat more egg. He made sure there was no creature in the nest before he went up and broke the seal to drink from the egg. Sen, why are you climbing up again? Lin Baifeng wondered when Han Sen came down. There are sacred blood creatures above, and I was having a feast up there. Do you want to go together? Han Sen laughed. You can keep it. Lin Baifeng glanced at him and didn't believe a word he said. Even if there really were sacred blood creatures, Han Sen was more likely to be their food. Super God Gene. Chapter 30. Han Sen climbed up every day to steal some egg juice and never met a sacred blood creature returning to the nest. Han Sen thought the egg's parents might have been hunted already. But to be safe, every time he finished drinking from the egg, he would return to where Lin Baifeng was instead of staying inside the nest. Lin Baifeng just assumed that Han Sen was going up to find a way. When they had waited for 2 or 3 days, Lin Baifeng looked down, and with the fog he wasn't sure if the mammo beasts had left. Sen, how about we go down a bit and check if they have left? Lin Baifeng couldn't handle the heat during the day and coldness at night on the cliff anymore. Let's wait for 2 more days to be safe. If they see us now and guard the place for another week, we will run out of food. Han Sen's geno points were higher, so he had heard the mammo beasts leaving the previous night. But he didn't want to go now, as he hadn't finished the egg. Lin Baifeng felt that made sense, so he held on. However, after 2 days, Lin Baifeng still saw Han Sen making his daily climb. The vines only covered a small part, and if Han Sen was just exploring the way, he should have done that already, so why did he keep climbing? What is it? Lin Baifeng wondered, yet he still did not believe there could be sacred blood creatures. Sen, why is it that you climb every day? Lin Baifeng could not help but ask. I told you, there are sacred blood creatures, and I'm going up to eat, replied Han Sen. Would you take me with you? Lin Baifeng did not believe Han Sen's words but was very curious. Okay, Hansen smiled, grabbed a vine and started climbing. Lin Baifeng followed him up, but he was so weak that he stopped halfway and asked, Sen, I've gotta stop. Where are you going? We are almost there. Wait here and I'll pull you up. Han Sen climbed up like a gecko. In a short while, Lin Baifeng saw a vine thrown from above. Tying himself to the vine, he borrowed Han Sen's strength and climbed. When he reached the stone, Lin Baifeng was stunned by the size of the egg. My God, such a big egg. Is it sacred blood? Yes, this is a sacred blood creature's egg. Han Sen nodded. Gee, it really is a sacred blood egg. Sen, you are amazing. Lin Baifeng was pleasantly surprised. He smashed the egg with a fist and wanted to drink. Stretching his tongue out and waiting, Lin Baifeng saw no egg juice flowing out and smashed a few times more, making a big hole in the eggshells. Where is the egg juice? Lin Baifeng looked blankly inside the hollow eggshell. I drank it. Han Sen blinked. You drank it? Lin Baifeng looked at Han Sen. A few days ago, I told you that and invited you to join me. I thought you didn't want to come. Han Sen spread out his hands. Lin Baifeng regretted so much that he was ready to kill himself right then. Sen, I had no way of knowing you were telling the truth. Who could have imagined a sacred blood egg on the cliff? If I knew, I would have come, even if I had broken all my limbs. Baifeng, don't worry, I'll inform you next time I find a sacred blood egg. Han Sen smiled and patted him on the shoulder. Sen, next time such good things happen, you must remember to let me know. Money is not a problem, and I promise I will never say no to you again. Lin Baifeng was upset. I promise. Han Sen made such an effort to bring him up just to hear these words from him. People like Lin Baifeng made great customers. Lin Baifeng sighed for a while, smashed the eggshell and carried it with him. He wanted to see if he could boil some sacred geno points from it. Not in 100 years, Han Sen chuckled to himself. When they got to the bottom of the cliff, the mammo beasts had left already, so the two went back to steel armor shelter. When they were about to arrive, Han Sen smiled and said to Lin Baifeng, Baifeng, my reputation is not that great here, so I won't go in with you. I'll see you around. Lin Baifeng quickly said, Sen, what do you take me for? We have been through death together, and I'll kill whoever is disrespectful to you. It's fine, I have to go and want no trouble. Just enter alone. Han Sen would not believe someone as glib as him, so he waved goodbye and entered the shelter first. The Stormbird egg added 5 more sacred Geno points to Han Sen, which were fewer than he had expected, but it was a surprise in itself, so it was still great. Now Han Sen had 18 sacred Geno points. It was a shame that he didn't get a beast soul from it, but it was quite normal, since killing 10 creatures wouldn't even guarantee a beast soul. Han Sen just got lucky previously. Han Sen happily returned to his room, and was teleported out of God's sanctuary. Before he left the station, a slim figure blocked his way. Station Master. Such a coincidence. Han Sen groaned inwardly. He had totally forgot about his discord with Qin Zan. Come with me, Qin Zan said coldly, walking toward the combat room. She was upset that Han Sen had been able to hit her last time and wanted to kick his ass before she could let it go. Crystal Ice web novel. Please like and subscribe for more updated novel.